Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is my first bike review. This will be my 2009 Suzuki Gladius. I have it for about 3 years. I will be selling it, and I think I will make some review of it. So, you like it or not, I will do it. So, after owning it 3 years, what do I think about the Gladius? Well, I'm not going to talk about the specs. If you're looking for one, you already know what kind of engine it is, how many horsepower does it make, or perhaps the differences from Gladius to SV650. The biggest difference, perhaps a little bit of suspension difference. It's a little bit longer. Pardon my English, it's not my first language. So after 3 years, it's not. I didn't bought it new, all right. So I had a few minor dents, crashes. This is my first normal bike, the first bike that I bought myself to ride. First year of my riding was just testing out different bikes, whatever I want, what I preferred and liked, from Kawasaki Z650, 750, Ninjas, some choppers, roadsters, whatever, and I settled for this. I'm pretty short myself. In freedom numbers it's 5'6". I am 169 centimeters. So it has very nice seat. It's kind of round, so, and narrow, so it lets you like stand. For example, even 390 Duke, it's good for short riders, but not very good for me. It's wider and more angles here, so I didn't feel at the good spot in the traffic with it. This one is perfect. I'm not sure if this seat is stock. I haven't seen much of the Gladiuses, and which one I seen, they have a little bit different seats, but maybe this is the stock one, maybe those were changed. So what have I done in 3 years? Close to nothing. There is like B2 suspension shock right here. Perhaps the best mod for short riders. So it's almost lowered to the end, almost. I think so. I'm not mechanically inclined very well, but it's very good. I can flat foot it with 2 feet, no problem. Here's some dents. The exhaust is completely stock. There's some sliders. There's a different steering wheel. It's a TRV. I think it's named the Speed Fighter. I don't know if it's from Ducati. I don't really care. So steering wheel is different. It's a little bit more aggressive. It was a lot wider. I had to cut it twice to make it narrower, but it's still wider than the stock one. So stock steering wheel would be like up here, somewhere up here, and I like this position a lot more. Like, definitely, it's not a sport bike, not so aggressive like ZX6R or Gixxers, but I feel a lot more in comfort driving in a city, and it's a bit more aggressive with it. Here's my little Spidey friend. So, about the steering wheel, I didn't feel the stock one good enough. Even though I didn't want to change the stock one. I didn't know shit about motorcycles when I bought it, compared to what I know now. Even though I don't call myself very good reviewer or the guy that know a lot about motorcycles. So, but I preferred after changing the steering wheel, after the first crash I had on the ring, and I felt a lot better with this one than the stock one. You can see it being a little bit lower, like a few centimeters. So what are the cons of this motorcycle? So the cons perhaps is kind of stiff suspension, but I can't really hate it because I kinda like it. It doesn't eat the potholes very well. Perhaps also the rear one is stiffer because mine is modded. Has some mods on it. But it's kinda stiff, and if road is uneven, you will jump a lot. I'm 72 kilos and I jump a lot on a bad road, so they just fly away on a huge pothole. Other than that, the suspension eats kinda everything but bottom out on the front end a bit. The headlight, the most hated thing about what people that look at Gladius think this is one ugly motherfucker. Well, not for me. I kinda like it. Didn't like that naked SV650, even though they're a little bit different. Not only on the headlight, I like the cluster of the Gladius a lot more than SV650, and the new one, the LCD one, is kind of disgusting for me, to be honest. But I could live with it, whatever. The pros of it, handling is very amazing, very low center of gravity, easy to maneuver, easy to stand, even for girls, boys, and small men like me. So definitely not a problem. Even after being dropped kind of a lot, it eats everything. So it's like a V2 90 degree. So if it was a Bandit, a Suzuki Bandit, you would scratch the engine block. You would scratch a lot more. How much it was dropped, it's almost nothing to him, close to nothing. See, it has very good turning radius as well. I like it a lot. It's not maybe a touring bike or adventure bike level, but I like it. What I also like about it is the torque. It's not a huge amount of torque like on some Harleys or very big engines, but you can drive it as a car. I don't need more than 5,000-6,000 RPM most of the time driving in the city. So let's go for a drive. Little quick drive in it. Spidey. Oh, also the gearbox, the Suzuki gearbox. I think it's one of the most lovely gearbox I ever tried, and I tried not one or two motorcycles. I tried like 10 of them, at least 10 of them, maybe in the first year, about the 6 months, and not even counting same bikes or my friends' bikes. The torque is very good, from 2,000-3,000 RPM, and most of the time I drive in like 3,000-4,000 RPM in city in 4th gear, about this speed. It's kilometers an hour, not miles, not in freedom numbers. And the power is enough. So ask me if I like this bike so much when I'm selling it. Well, I want a touring bike. I'm not going far away from it. I'm going to V-Strom 650. Perhaps it is. I like most of it from different touring bikes I tried. And the other opponent is BMW SV650 GS, if I'm correct. Yeah, I think that's the name, the new one. Because I like this engine so much. The note of the stock exhaust, it's amazing. Love it. You see how like firm it is, and you can no shifter. Why do we need that? The stock Suzuki gear shift and the clutch work is amazing for me. That's why I want V-Strom more. I kind of like feel it a lot better. So you see, even at 3,000-4,000 RPM, it's very comfy to drive. The throttle itself is not the sharpest one. It's sharp. Maybe it's not the word I wanted to use. It feels a little bit clanky at the low speeds. Perhaps if you are like driving on a first or second, it a bit jumps a bit, and it's not so comfy. But on the move, you don't need a lot of RPM just really to use it. It just fucking goes. And it's really fuel efficient. So it doesn't have a fuel gauge, only have a little bit of fuel indicator when you're getting below. I can't remember correctly how much fuel they have. It's 13 liters perhaps, but not, I don't think it's more than that. But I drive about 240-250 kilometers till the gauge comes up, and so it's 10 liters till the engine light, not engine, the fuel light comes up, and then I go for a refueling. So I know if I'm crossing the 200 kilometers on my little trip, I know I need a refueling, or just looking for a gas station in another 100 kilometers. So it's extremely fuel efficient, extremely flickable, and this is why I love this engine. It doesn't even need a lot of RPM to work around. Professional driver, so I'm not taking those corners at maximum capability of what this bike can do. But as it's the SV650 platform, a lot of people doing a lot of things with it. The top speed of Gladius is a little bit bigger, I think, than SV650. I think it's got different sprockets, if I remember correct. If you just put it in a Google, the Gladius top speed and SV650 top speed, you'll see kind of different numbers. Maybe electronic top speed is different. Maybe the needles are different. Maybe the gearing is different. But I think the Gladius is a little bit taller, and the chassis itself is a little bit longer. I don't know what millimeters or centimeters is bigger, but it's a little bit bigger, so you can just like check it. It's not a big difference. I think it will be huge different from other SV650s. So you can definitely just buy whatever you want, SV650 or the Gladius. Design wise, it's a design wise difference. So maybe top speed is also a little bit better. Do it better aerodynamics, maybe the headlight, those little plastic fairings, and make fairings or whatever. See, like going up in gears without, and going down it's very easy. I'm not even rev matching. So it's a very good, very flickable bike to live in a city. And for 3 years I didn't have a lot of bills on it. Tires, fuel, oil, filters. I just fixed the front shocks because they were a little bit leaking. And that's kinda all. Really, it was bulletproof for me. What is it? bike. It is kind of looks similar to mine, but I think this gladius maybe a little bit different headlight. I'll do a little bit of acceleration after like a few minutes. See, from 2000 RPM, zero problems going up. That's and braking. The brakes, this itself are stock. But the pads are different. The pads are more sporty and they need a little bit of heat. And I didn't use brakes a lot, so it needs a little bit of temperature to get it working more correctly. So you see, I can flat foot on both legs. Rocket fast, but it's more than enough to haul ass. To find a it's neutral gear, it's extremely easy. I think it's the best bike to find neutral gear. This whatever I tried. So it was very easy to live by for all these years, and I will be kind of sad because it's such maneuverable, so light. I think when I get a V-Strom, I will be looking for something like this, but maybe the new SV650 also in a few years. Maybe with the clip-ons, the Cafe Racer X650X or whatever it's called. Maybe even more aggressive, so we'll have the V-Strom. I can mod it more for a little bit more aggressive stance. So also this engine doesn't have a lot of vibrations, so it's kind of easy to be on a road with it for a longer time. Also, heat is not a big problem. I was driving for a lot of time in a July month without gear, and it's zero issues with heat. I would even prefer some heat in this Lithuanian cold climate, but there is nothing you can do with it. You're completely exposed to environment. So I think this is the stock mirrors. Not very big fan of them, but they survived somehow a lot of crashes. Hey, look, my spider friend is still with me. I let him live in a car wash, I mean the bike wash or whatever, but he still lives. But maybe I'll pick it home from my garage. So do I recommend, to who I recommend this bike? I think it's a very awesome bike for beginner. Maybe not the beginner, but if you would have some riding experience, a little bit, just a half year or a year, and you want this sort of bike for street driving, it has decent amount of torque. It's good to live in a city it doesn't have some crazy RPMs, because the torque is very good, so you can drive the car. It's very fuel efficient, so you need to drive 30-40 kilometers per mile, whatever, to work. It can be good. For longer periods of time, I would put a windshield or some sort of wind protection with me, because it has none. It's a naked bike, what you can expect from it. Especially in this climate, it's about less than 10 degrees Celsius right now, if I'm correct. And with my helmet open, it's kind of cold. But I don't have a mic in my helmet, so I have to use whatever on the GoPro medium one. And due at the height, it's very good for those short guys and short girls, so you can flat foot. And is it needed to flat foot every bike? I don't think so. I was driving Tenera 700, if I recall correct the name of that Yamaha, and I couldn't flat foot. My feet was hanging one or the other, and I did just fine. But I had like 2 years of driving experience with bikes, and but if it was my first bike, I would be in stress in every traffic jam that I would drop my bike. With this one, you have none. I don't know how much I lowered it with that spring. It was just from the feel how much I want. It was enough. But for the first street bike, it's like more powerful motorcycle. This is very good height for shorter guys and girls to ride safely and maybe be more calm. Because you see, the Eastern Europe roads are uneven, and you can see maybe it's not that well seen in the camera, but there is difference in the road. There is the middle, it's higher, there is lower, and if you will stand on in a traffic jam, I almost broke one guy's window when there was a bigger, not a pothole, but I know the name of in English how it's called. In Lithuania it's Kodarga, but most of you wouldn't understand it anyway. Lithuanian language is extremely old language, and so there is no similar words. So I hope you liked my review. Don't judge too much. This is my first bike review. Comment whatever you think, where can I improve myself, and maybe I will make more bike reviews of the new V-Strom or my friend bikes, also maybe some European models that you don't have in USA, for example. Goodbye.